Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Quite the Brady Bunch circle we got going on here today. Really excited to have our good friend Bob lead us through this incident response tabletop stuff. I've got some great guests here with Matt and Josh. Actually, I'm going to kind of do this and put the Team Tim people on the bottom and our guests on the top. Josh, you're in the top corner there. Why don't you come up and say hello? Tell us who, what, where, when, how, why.
Hey, I'm Josh, back on Team Tim Live here. I'm the Information Security Lead with Centrix IT, and also help out Bob with the IR game that we're about to play.
Nice. Mr. Matt, good to see you again, my friend. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while. Thank you for having me here. Excited to go through this with y'all. Sounds like a couple have some experience. MSP for 20 years, doing cybersecurity assessments and living in a cybersecurity-based role for the last, I'd say, like 7 years. CISOs at MSPs, things like that. So I've got a lot of experience. Looking forward to this one.
Awesome. Well, we're glad to have you here, Mr. Bob, the man of the hour.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how happy you are with me after we play this game. But anyway, so my name is Bob Miller. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Global Data Systems. We are an MSP, MSSP down in Lafayette, Louisiana, and I'm also one of the founders of IRGAME, which we're about to get into and see what that's all about. So.
Awesome. Hey, Jesse, how are you, my friend?
Hey, LinkedIn. I'm Jesse Miller, founder of Power PSA Consulting and creator of the PowerGrid vCISO system. Our single mission is to help MSPs crack the code for delivering profitable vCISO services at scale.
You've been practicing, my friend.
Yeah,
love it. Mr. Schnurr, back at it. How's the new dig?
It's there's a couple leaks in the roof and some other problems. I just saw a tree go down in the backyard, so I'm happy to get the chainsaw going. But yeah,
we've got tornado warnings in the area, Tim.
I hope I hope the power stays on, right, Matt?
Yep.
Yeah. But anyway, Tim Schnurr, Inquisitive IT, home of the Vault Book, which is a hardened, configured laptop for individuals, retirees, investors. But we also do IP advisory as well. Another episode of Team Tim. I'm excited here. So I know we might go a little long today, and I'm ready for that.
Awesome. And I suppose I should say hello, everybody. Hey, Tim Golden, founder and CEO of Compliance Scorecard, where we help you have the risk conversation with your clients. Ties really well into some things like PowerGrid and incident response planning and all the fun things that we're going to be talking about today. So yeah, let's pull everyone on up. Make sure I've got the right view. There we go. We got the Brady Bunch view. So I'm going to hand this over to Bob, which means I get to shut up for once.
All right, I'm gonna share a screen here. I'm gonna give it a shot anyway.
No, while he's doing this, let's talk strategy, Tim's and Jesse and Matt.
Yeah.
So I'm familiar with this game, but my love of role playing outdoes my love for the game. So I mean, I don't know, how do you want me to play this here? Because we could win. I know the ins and outs of it, or I could just I could play a role and plead ignorance here on how this works.
I say we struggle, man. Let's look bad.
Yeah.
I've spent enough time with Ethan. Like I know how to win this game now after running it like 6 or 7 times. But let's
all right, Tim, if you'll show my screen,
why don't we tell the audience as well?
It's down in the bottom.
Right?
There we go.
Yeah.
Jesse, Bob,
Yeah, I can.
Josh.
All right. So what this is, right, is this is basically an online multiplayer version of a game that Matt Lee and Ethan Tancredi created, which was a manual tabletop exercise as it relates to, and it's an MSP oriented exercise.
Right.
So it's fairly complex, right? So I'm not going to tell you a bunch more than that. But what's going to happen is that when the game starts, you'll be watching each of the players in here who have roles. And right now, let me see, the roles are, well, you know what? I'll wait, and when you see the first screen, and you'll figure out your role, right? And
Wait,
depending on your role, yeah. There are people who will have to do things.
Who's a compliance officer?
Yeah, no, we don't try to muck it up with that. But anyway, so we're gonna, when that starts happening, dialogue will start. We'll talk through it, and then we will get to the point where you won't know what to do from resource allocation. But we'll talk through it. It won't be too difficult.
I think this is going to be interesting for people who are not necessarily or have not necessarily worked at an MSP, because that's one distinction we should make, is that this is an MSP focused incident response tabletop. Now, Bob, you guys, last time I talked to you, can customize this for any sort of situation. So it's not just for MSPs, but
no,
that's where it was born out of. And we thought it would be super interesting for everyone to see kind of what this looks like from the inside, should an MSP deal with an incident, right?
And if you're not an MSP, if you're an enterprise, then every time we say customer, you think site. If you have multiple sites as part of an enterprise, this is going to be the same situation.
Business unit. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Level of complexity is actually higher, right, Bob? I mean, than an enterprise, just because you're multi-tenant.
It is because only because of usually the scale, right? I mean, for most people,
Matt.
Matt's here. All right.
Matt's here. Hey, Matt.
Here
should have brought you in. You could have guided us through this whole thing. Oh, hey, Steve. How are you, buddy?
Oh, man.
All right.
So if you'll,
yeah. Should be wildly interesting.
All right, we ready to go? Should I?
Yeah. You go ahead and put the screen back up, and then
you want to pull this? You want me to pull that up like full screen, or do we want to have like us side by each?
Yeah, let's do that one. I like that one.
Yeah, whichever one Jesse says.
The side by side. I like that one.
Yeah,
that's
there we go.
One.
We need to see our faces. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
We should be seeing the game start. There it is. Here we go.
Man.
Okay. All right. So look, there's a top up here. We'll talk about that in a second. These are configurations. It looks like we've got published SLAs. We're part of a peer group. We enforce overtime. We don't have a technician policy, wellness policy. We do not have well documented procedures, nor do we have an incident response plan. So
fail.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So here we go. Our dispatcher receives a call that a single application is not working at Innovative Financial, which is one of our customers, small investment firm, right? Innovative Financial relays that their system is active. The technician is tasked to remote in and look at the server that houses the application. The client calls back to say, well, now the damn desktops are not working either. And they kind of notice it's popping up. Upon access, the suspect server, your technician, is presented with what is clearly a ransomware demand note and notifies their service manager. So this is the only telemetry that you have at this point. So,
I am the HR person. I don't know who made that call, but clearly.
By the way, right here at the top, while you're saying that, right here next to you, I do not have a role. So I'm a board member basically. But if you guys will see that you'll either be a tech lead, or you'll be a support lead, or you'll be a CEO or CFO. So I will tell you this.
Should we say like I'm a support lead and who we are, or did I just give away?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, okay. Go ahead. Which role is everybody?
Hi, I'm Tim Golden, and I'm the support lead. I don't document tickets, but here we go.
Yeah. All right. Let me read this off, and then we'll keep going. What will you do? Okay. So what are you going to do at Innovative Financial first? That's where we were getting to. You have a technical and a non-technical action you could take, knowing only what you know right now, which is what we read off before, that we got a ransomware note on a server.
As CEO, that's my role. I'm going to be like, what does our MSA with them say? I want to know right away.
Wait. So
right now, the CEO doesn't know. Right now, only the support manager knows. So,
it does. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Remember, shut up then.
So is there a support manager or just a support lead?
I'm a tech lead.
You're leads,
I'm
but those
I'm
are
the
technically
CFO.
managers.
All right. So my first reaction is, as the support lead, I got the call, it comes in, I logged in, I'm looking around, and I'm like, oh, this is really weird. What the hell is this note? Hey, Tim, have you seen this note? Do you know what the hell this means?
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna say I have not seen that before.
okay, and so why? So in the next line, right? Why is it important? But anyway, somebody got a technical thing you might want to try. I mean, you do have a ransomware note, right? And it is showing. So anybody going to take any technical step at this point?
System
Well,
state.
Tim, you're the tech lead. What do you think?
As the tech lead, I mean, you don't want to lose all the logs, but you want to basically quarantine to some degree, right? So, like, what are you going to do to shut the walls but keep the data? Depending on what the tech stack is, that's the technical recommendation.
Yeah. Well, isolate the machine. I think that's what you're really saying, right? Your first technical step would be to isolate the machine. But what you said was really important. You don't want to turn it off, right? That's not why you want to do that. And the reason is just why you said, right? Jesse, you want to elaborate a little more about why you wouldn't want to just shut it off?
Yeah, I mean,
good call.
Yeah, I mean, you have, there's forensics, there's cyber insurance potentially involved, there's legal liability pieces. So any system state you can get about source or patient zero or initial entry point, especially if you're in an environment where you don't have really good tooling for all that, the system might be your only way. And like a disk timeline or Windows logs might be the only way to get that information. So you definitely don't want to lose that.
Yeah. Well, as the support
and
lead,
memory as well, right? Yeah.
As the support lead, right? So this came in, and Tim, thanks for identifying that, and thanks for bringing up about isolating the machine and making sure we don't lose stuff. But damn it, Jesse, I've been telling you as the CEO, we need an incident response plan. Like, are we there now? Come on.
All right. Here we
Be a good
go.
CEO, Tim. Be a good CEO.
Yeah. All right. So this escalates, right? You are now receiving calls from multiple clients claiming to be experiencing similar issues. Desktops and servers are inaccessible. Your phones are ringing off the hook. They're constantly busy at this point, and your dispatcher is unable to keep up with the call volume. So multiple people at each client are reaching out every way they know how, right? So because, as an MSP, if you're ever given your personal cell number or your personal email or anything else to any of your customers, and you don't have discipline related to that, then they're going to be coming in over the walls, right?
I'd like to remind you guys that it's an HR violation to utilize your personal phone for work. I can't reimburse you. The company cannot reimburse you for any of the text or minutes.
Look, it is literally ringing off the hook. Look, I don't know.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah, well, your voicemail's piling up. Your clients are calling technicians already. Oh yeah, remember when you had that customer appreciation barbecue? They know where your house is, right? So now everybody, the customers you have known the longest or the largest are calling all your numbers, home and cell, asking what the hell's going on, right? So this is what you're dealing with at this particular moment in time.
Well, I'll tell you at the CEO level, I would probably want to just pull everyone together, and phones are ringing, like the craziness is going to be there, like everybody walk away from your desks, we all got to meet together and we got to talk about and get on the same page, like we're going to make it through this. I love if y'all have heard Robert Chiaffi's story about what he went through when he experienced this with the Kaseya 0-day. You get to a point, and I've been in incident response, not for an MSP but for our customers that were really large. And you have to just kind of say, this chaos is going to be here in 10 minutes. We just all need to shut the walls out or shut the noise out and talk about what we're going to do and make sure to look each other in the eye that we're going to get each other through this. So I think that
as the CFO, I'm ordering pizza right now.
Yeah.
There's definitely not. Wait, but we're a completely remote team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you consideration, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So all those are considerations.
Yeah.
So right now, all we know is it's affecting multiple customers. It looks like ransomware is involved. All the phones are ringing off the hook. So it's escalated. We're not even to the point yet where we can actually start doing anything, right? I mean, we are just
Yeah.
We just got punched in the face. That's what we got, and we're trying to clear the tears out of our eyes enough to try and get some sort of conscious thought pattern going. Related, right? So, about to flip over to
we'll probably
the next.
trigger like some kind of chain of command escalation. And who's the most senior?
You tell me. Yeah. Well, you tell me how that should go. Right. So here we go. All right, leadership. What should you do next? So this is that discussion, right?
Okay.
So has anybody ever dealt with multiple sites or custom ransomware at this scale? If you have, you could talk about that. Who's dealt with an incident of ransomware? Has anybody not been involved in dealing with a incident or ransomware that's in the group right now?
How about ransomwaring myself? Does that count?
Well, no.
That's a
encrypting your own computer. Encrypting your own computer doesn't count. It's
oh, damn it!
I do it all the time. I over secure.
Yeah.
Also at this point, who does not have cyber insurance, right? If you're an MSP, knowing which of your customers have cyber insurance or not is actually really important, right? Including yourself as an MSP. Do you have cyber insurance? So that's that's another important element. And if you have cyber insurance, what would your next move be?
I think, as being my role, I'd say I am now engaging cyber insurance and starting that process. I think that's going to be kind of my risk profile. And I'm going to start that moving forward, talking to legal and starting to maybe get some communications together with CEO over here.
Yeah. I mean, thankfully, I actually took the time to wrote out, a who to call checklist, right? On there is the, is the local FBI office. It's the insurance company.
It says we don't have that, Tim.
No, we don't have an IR plan, but damn it, I wrote that who to call checklist. Okay. I wanted it to be part of the IR plan.
Yeah, you pull my other leg, it plays Jingle Bells. Yeah, okay.
You said we didn't have an IR plan. You didn't say you didn't have anything else other than
we have no documented incident response plan, and you're saying I have a documented incident response plan.
Exactly. Approved. Like I've been pushing that all along because I'm the documentation guy. It's my job.
Well, we're going to see this in a second, but what if your systems are affected as well? What are you going to do then, right? Because you wrote what, Tim, you did. You wrote those numbers down and you stored them in Microsoft Note, right? You got it in Microsoft Note or SharePoint. So you got it on there. But what happens if you don't have availability of that system?
Fortunately, there's a SaaS documentation platform that we can log into to get a redundant offline copy of that stuff.
I think somebody just put in a comment it might be defining your insurance policy. And I think assuming that we don't have an IR plan and we didn't think about this and just putting myself in that scenario from like a CEO perspective, I'm like, I'm not the smartest guy. I want the smartest guy or girl in the room to figure this out. So like I said, calling cyber insurance and talking to the breach coach, like, what should we do next? What should we be thinking about? Because you sure don't know, and you don't have it documented. So somebody who's an expert telling you what should be the next steps, I think is a good way to start.
So here we are. We're in the detect phase of this, right? I mean, we really are at this point. We are. So you now know that the likely culprit is something that you own. You are not able to respond to the clients and branches yet until you can bring on the resources to determine the root cause. The situation is not contained at this point. So you are not, since we have cyber insurance, the carrier council, forensics, negotiation teams have all been assigned, and there's a panel, right? They pre-arrange a panel typically when you have cyber insurance. That's all arranged, unless, by the way, you have the ability to go out and with some cyber insurance policies, you can actually go out and gain your own breach coach that has a relationship. I'll call it incident coach. We shouldn't use breach word even by accident. But then you should have your own incident coach, right? That is your attorney that you can turn to, that is approved by your insurance carrier as the one that can be involved. And to be honest with you, calling the cyber insurance company first is not necessarily the best move, right? Because in some cases, you need to talk to your incident coach first. And why is the reason, Tim Schnurr, this ought to be a softball. Why should you talk to your attorney as soon as possible?
Because what you say to your clients is important as well. So legal has to be involved, right? How are you going to respond? Are you going to admit culpability?
Well, Jesse, you got any more input on why you should talk to your attorney first?
Yeah, because any internal communication, as long as you're tagging it appropriately, once you paid an attorney, is non-discoverable, and that's
There you go.
client privilege.
Yeah.
That's it. That you honestly need to make that the first priority in any incident like this, is to talk to your attorney as soon as possible, because every subsequent communications, like Jesse said, is covered.
Say that again, Jesse.
So yeah, in a breach, the reason you want to in a breach, in an incident, the reason you want to get in contact with an attorney and pay them and have them give you some sort of tag or code word to use in all your internal communications around that is because that all becomes then part of the client attorney privilege and is not discoverable in litigation down the road.
Yeah, let me read some more of this while you guys are thinking about that. All right, your admin users are all flooded with communication from all sides, which we know. You have been instructed by forensics that your RMM tool hosted in the cloud is the culprit. So now you have learned that it is one of your tool set that is the culprit in this, right? The customers are demanding a reason why nothing has been happening yet. Your technicians have busily been disconnecting entire sites from the internet, which is the isolation that we talked about. That was the one move you guys talked about, where they're in chaos and they're trying to prevent the double extortion of data, right? And that's the reason for the isolation. The technicians are in chaos, all being called out. So it's a complete mess, right? So now containment. Forensics has determined that the threat actors deployed ransomware with your RMM tool, and they believe there to be no access prior to the moment of detonation. You can contain the threat by taking the RMM tool offline while not rebooting, but by pulling internet connections, in this case, at the cloud network layer for all the affected assets. And by the way, you'll notice this for the affected assets, and you see PSA right there. That means that's your ticketing system. So you are affected. Your internal systems have been affected, right? And as your servers are encrypted, you are finding it impossible to coordinate with clients without your digital records, right? Ooh. You are forced, because now your sites, it could be your sites, it could be your customers, just depending on your perspective. You're forced to gather contracts and other information from emails and technician cell contacts while your ticketing system is down. At the end of day 2, that's where we stand. So, all right. And I'm going to read this really quick. This is the moment you've been waiting for. The insurance panel is giving your team marching orders on what you can do, what can be done. Forensics has asked that you pull a copy of the volatile memory, right? That's what we talked about, affecting servers, cloud. And fortunately, you did not have a dedicated network connection fortunately, you didn't have a dedicated connection to your clients. And we'll talk about why that's important when we have some time here. Forensics, after one-day investigation, determines that it's a persistent foothold on every machine that was deployed at the time of detonation and will require wiping and reloading. Bad news, the first server you try to restore from backup fails on the first attempt. I hope that's not a pattern.
Well, the good news here is, since we don't have a policy on technician wellness, we haven't been able to work the last 2 days, and the techs have been sent home. So that came out of their PTO, or unfortunately was unpaid. But now they can actually work. So that's a good news. And
they're going to be really ready to come back to work too. With that.
Oh no!
All right, so here we go. All right. We gained an additional tech resource due to our overtime policy. So now we have 11 techs. Only the techs can execute at this point. So, Mr. Schnurr, you will see to the right of this scrollable area right here, you'll see this little technician sign. It looks like a pawn.
Yeah.
Right? Ironic. Pawn, right? So the plus sign next to it means you can assign a technician to these sites. So just to get you through this first round, I would suggest, and you guys start thinking about how you're going to give them direction. CFO, you need to be looking at the data in front of you. CEO, but just put a plus by the first 11 lines or whatever to get us moving.
I think I'm looking at like the list and trying to determine, at least from a support lead, like
that's right,
who is the most, like, I'm leaning towards the state government and healthcare and oil and gas.
Well,
like the other ones, right? That's kind of where I'm leaning with, like, I don't know. So universal public sector. I don't know. Is that electricity?
By the way, just so you know, we got 1 minute and 43 seconds for these to get allocated. So are you pressing the plus sign by the bottom, Tim?
Yeah. So I'm pushing them for universal public sector. I can do more than one now.
Go down. Put them.
You can assign 11.
Don't leave any on the playing field. Put them all in the field. Do something.
Yeah, I always say like the Dave Ramsey approach, right? Is like I want to throw every technician at a site to try and get quick wins and get less clients down. So it's
well,
like, yeah. Go
Something
ahead.
important to know is these particular pawns, they can restore about 8 servers each, but you cannot restore workstations until all the servers are up at a site. So you
Yeah,
don't
see,
want to
now
distribute all
you
those.
need to leave that Now you need to leave that guy because the things like because of initial restore failed, you must leave a technician there, right?
Yeah.
But you gain an additional tech. So I'm thinking first and foremost, oil and gas, state and government, and healthcare. Like we need to
Put them
assign
in the
resources.
field. 40
Can I do
seconds.
that?
Tim.
Can I do that, or can he do that?
No. Tech lead is the only guy that can.
I would say drop all your resources at that.
As the CFO, I'm going to say, please structure this by annual recurring revenue.
Right.
I'm having trouble doing more than one. How do you do more than one?
Exactly.
Yeah.
How do you do more than one?
Just click it again.
Just press the plus sign again. Yeah.
It's not a plus sign; it's a minus sign.
No. Well, the first round you need to get the servers up, so keep pressing them on new lines. You got 9 seconds.
Just start dropping them
Don't
on
leave
sites.
Yeah,
Run
yeah,
out of time.
Click, damn it, click.
3, 2, 1.
All right, there we go. Good deal. Good job, Tim. You got it done.
All right.
All right,
I don't know how many I
so
got out there. Yeah.
no, you got them all. You got them all
Okay.
deployed.
Well,
So
before we get into this, if anyone saw, a technician was leaving one of the
Right.
sites
He was
and
injured.
got into a car accident. So,
So,
as
did he?
HR,
Down to
I
10.
got to deal with that workman's
Yeah.
comp claim real quick.
Yeah, you'll notice we're back down to 10 techs total, right? So we
Yeah.
gained
Lost
one and
the
lost one.
Did I miss that?
Yeah, we gained one and lost one, so you're net 0 on it. But okay, so discussion elements. What steps would you take to troubleshoot an initial server restoration failure? So this is if in practice you find out that you have got that first initial restore failed. What steps would you take to troubleshoot that? What are your next steps you would take to if you in your process of server restoration failed multiple times, right? So that's a different thing. You get an initial failure because of some operational situation that's going on versus if you've got a pattern of restoration failures. We'll talk about that as well. What steps would you take to notify the clients if the server restoration fails, and how quickly would you do it? And then, so let's talk about those in general. The part of this discussion right here is, okay, if you have a server fail and you try again and it fails again, what are you gonna win, and what are you gonna communicate to your customers about backup failing that apparently you're responsible for?
I think you got to see why it's failing, right? So you got to see backup logs, and you got to say, well, what is failing? Is it failing because it doesn't like one of the NICs, which is like we always used to run into that with Datto, right? Like we're trying to restore it and the NICs don't match up. Okay, so we just pull all the NICs and we'll get it to restore, right? So can we solve it? We got to see why is it failing. Now, if it's failing because of some sort of sector issue or something, then that's a different story.
Right.
The question is like, what data is on that server that's critical, and how long, and is it available to rebuild or restore some other way, and what does that time look like? So you got to have some drop dead restoration times, like point of no return. We got to do something different here. So I think that's at a high level what you need to.
The part that concerns me is contacting our customers and notifying the clients of the restoration failing. Like, I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to talk to my legal team first and be like, hey, do we tell them or do we not tell? What do we tell them and when? I think part of that IR planning is during an incident, you have a notification schedule, right? You have, hey, this is when we are going to give an update. This is what we know. This is when the next update will happen. Even if it's yes, no, maybe. So, whenever we have gone through these exercises, we have always established a communication.
As the CFO, guys, why is this not working yet?
Okay, here we go.
All right.
Now we're here.
All right, you see that one of your technicians auto assigned, right? Because he had to, because the university had it. When that sector failed, you had to leave a technician there to try and get it done. You'll also noted that you've got 0 servers down at some places. So
I was going to say,
as an admin lead, you can start assigning your rooks, right, that are admins to help to do workstations. Start working workstations.
That's not me, though. I'm not an admin. Who's the admin?
Who's the service? Or who's the admin lead? Let's see.
I'm the support lead. Is that me?
Yeah, That's you.
So I can
Yep.
I
Yeah.
can assign an admin.
Premier
next
Energy.
next to the rooks.
I know,
Tim,
but
you're
I only
still
have-
on the clock as far as putting text in
I know,
the
I
field.
I only have 4
Well,
of them, though.
you know what? We really, you know what? This is great because we got a tech lead and a support lead, and they're both named Tim. This is great.
We're gonna call it Schnurr.
Schnurr, you got the ball on text though, so yeah.
Yeah.
You know, follow.
You can call me the golden one.
Premier Energy could use some techs to because they have 0 servers down. We could get them back up and running. So both Premier and Innovative Financial, I think we could get knocked out this round.
Minute and a half.
We're Premier. I didn't realize the screen scroll. Damn it!
Yeah.
Hey, guess what, Tim? We call that the Mackenzie Brown effect. She didn't realize it scrolled either. She felt pretty good about how they were doing until she realized that it scrolled.
All right. So where would you like me to deploy a couple admins? Right.
You have 1 minute. You have 1 minute.
I would say Innovative and Premier, spread them between the two, and then Tim. And then Tim, we have Pioneer Clinic. I would give them more resources because we have almost all their servers restored, and then we can get them back up.
Premier Medical, is that who you're saying?
Pioneer Construction.
Pioneer Clinic, healthcare.
It's about 4th
sites.
from the top.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see it. Yeah, when I hit the button, all I get is a minus button.
I can't add another
Well,
admin.
if you can only add 1 tech if the servers are not.
Oh no!
So add them on different lines. Don't leave them on the playing field though.
I made the same mistake and assigned myself.
Yeah,
I did last time. Darn it!
Why can't I not add them? Oh, there we go.
All right.
I suppose I can only add them with a
Golden, you can only add them to a line if all the servers are up. So
yep.
I think I said it right.
Bob, explain what I just did.
I can't hit plus anymore.
Yes, well, Jesse just assigned himself to the field. So Jesse's interface went blank because if you take yourself out of headquarters and put yourself in the field, you don't have any telemetry anymore, right? You're in the field, you're traveling, you're going somewhere, and he's not going to get that telemetry back until the same moment of time in the next round. The name moment in the same time frame in the next round is when he will come back online and be able to see what's going on. So you put yourself in the field, you're going to lose your interface until the same time in the next round, and then it'll be restored. So
I see.
It's a dynamic. Okay. We have medical clients, and we know their servers contain data that must comply with HIPAA standards. So who and how do we notify for HIPAA data exposures? And then ultimately, who's responsible for reporting? Yeah, this is a golden question for Tim Golden, right? Ultimately, who's responsible for reporting HIPAA violations?
Compliance officer.
Yeah, so who's ultimately responsible for reporting any kind of a HIPAA violation?
The client.
The assigned compliance officer in the organization.
It is the compliance officer of the organization who has a compliance requirement to report HIPAA violations. So that means if you have if you have a medical client, it's their responsibility to report that. It's not your responsibility as an MSP to do that. Now we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go. So we're not going to leave that alone yet. So why is a communication process critical?
We can't even communicate on this live stream. So
yeah, right.
Just imagine if you're in an actual war room right now, what this is like. It's
a shit. We know, right? I mean, having been through. I will tell you this though. So something to understand is, and so this is when for our MSP, when we played this game, we modified our incident response plan to include what we call a doomsday book. It's a doomsday binder. And every month we print out the personal cell numbers and email addresses of all our employees, as well as all of our contact information for our customers, as well as our financial statements. And those all are in the doomsday binder in case all hell breaks loose and we don't have the availability of our systems, right? And those binders are in our bug out boxes. So if we have to leave the area, it's all part of the same set.
You wouldn't use a third-party SaaS platform that was kind of outside scope?
You can. You absolutely can.
Yeah,
There's lots of ways to solve that problem.
We're mostly remote, and that's what we have decided is a third-party SaaS application. To the last point, if an employee exposes private data, what do they got to do? They got to speak to me.
Well,
Have the conversation with HR.
Right. And then it's going to depend on your policies, right?
Yeah, your censure policy. Yeah.
All right.
All right, now what?
You got the same job. Your job is not going to change now for several rounds. So you just allocate resources based on input from your CEO, CFO, and whatever comments that you. And in some cases, you won't be able to do it for. Well, it looks like you're back out of the field.
No, I'm not. It says you were in the field still. Yeah.
Okay. Until he comes back, Jesse can't give you advice. So whoever's left can give you advice.
So I think in that I need to deploy an administrator at the healthcare site because we talked about all the HIPAA stuff. Do we have more than one healthcare? We do.
Well, scroll. You can see there's the industry column, right? So
yeah, I see it.
Mr. Schnurr, you go on your best logic. Unless you're being given directions by someone, then you go, sir.
Yeah, I've been doing that.
Good deal.
And there's not, they're coming back. So
yeah.
All right. So I deployed. How many more do I have? I have a couple.
You got a couple. See at the top. Yeah, these pieces decrement at the top as you guys use them, so you can see that.
Yeah. So I can only do them at places that have
all their
down
servers up.
servers, right?
0 down servers.
Yeah, down servers. So oil and gas. We can let them all blow up. We don't care about oil and gas. Law firms. Oh, wait, is that my law firm? Is that the one? Like, is that the one helping me in this incident? So I should probably do them first, or is that in my insurance company?
Good point.
That is, I was going to say that's a super interesting point. So maybe you should. Right? So
well, it speaks to the one challenge. How do you prioritize who you're going to fix when you don't have? Right. We're on day 5, by the way. This is day 5, right?
Yeah.
So. How do you prioritize who you're going to fix first?
I think I'm going to deal with the healthcare. Like Jesse was saying earlier, I'm just going to double down on the healthcare people because we talked about HIPAA earlier.
Can I answer this even though I'm in the field since this isn't?
Yeah. You can give them. You can give them CISO advice.
Okay.
You do that.
Yeah. So for me, we talked about this last time, but something that's worked well in the past for just other account activities, because you can reuse this, you get additional mileage out of this, is customer health indicators. So things like regulatory burden, MRR, of course, financial is a big one, but relationship status. Is it already a strained relationship? If you have somebody that was planning on leaving and this is going to be the last straw, I hate to say it, but maybe you don't put the multiple texts to their environment. They're going to be one of the last to be up because they're gone already anyway. So just some things to think about there.
Mr. Schnurr, you got one more to deploy in 7 seconds to do it.
I use everyone that's down. I've deployed somebody, so I have extra headcount now.
Okay.
Sorry.
There you go. All right.
Yes.
Under what circumstances would you pay a ransom?
Never.
Yes.
Okay.
Tell anybody that you actually paid them.
Mine would be obviously considering, Department of Justice things that could be. So if I could provide legal cover for myself and I have insurance to pay the ransom and I have cash flow to pay the ransom and I've got it contained, I'm paying the ransom. I mean, that's just the way I look at it. If it's any semblance of a shorter path to back up, I'm doing it. So that's
angry.
That's the angry client.
Yeah, I agree with Jesse on this. I think it's a calculation against cost, right? So you're going to have to do a cost analysis of keeping everyone running here for the next 2 weeks and getting these all restored. And who knows if that's even a permanent fix versus paying off a ransom. And as we know, they're going to target that number very accurately at but this is, so valuable to have this discussion before you get into this situation. Make sure everyone's on the same page, because if you're not on the same page, then you can't be disagreeing at this stage.
Right. That's
you've got to be able to be. do this.
Let me throw the HR in there talking about the ransom. What if the country's on the OFAC list?
That's
you go.
yeah, you have to consider that for sure.
Well, then
That's what-
yeah,
that's what Jesse-
there's no option, and they won't. There's no one to pay it. Basically, I don't think we'd be able to issue payment, right? At least their breach counsel wouldn't be able to make the payment. But
What I would point
Most
out
of the
also
time
is
we
look,
don't know. Yeah.
do not the point of this is do not try to negotiate these things yourself. You need to get some people who do this for a living because they know who's on those OFAC lists and who are not, and they know how to do this in a legally ethical manner.
because they don't say we're on the OFAC list and
Right.
pay us, right?
They don't.
Don't pay us. Yeah.
Or they might tell you they aren't when they are because they're trying to get a payment. I mean, they're criminals. But there's another piece to this too. It's not like just pay the ransom, right? It's you got to you have to have them kicked out. Like I've heard of you pay the ransom and your ransomware in another month, right? Because you think you paid the ransom.
Yeah.
There's no honor among thieves. If you
No.
have
Not only that, you
usually
pay,
is. Yeah.
you pay the ransom though, and hey, now you're on a list saying, hey, that this company has paid the ransom, which means they're willing
Yeah,
to
that's
pay the
right.
ransom
I was going to
too.
call.
So-
That's exactly what I was going to say, Josh. Is that you're now on the sucker list, and everybody's just ready to take their lick at you.
Yeah.
They're going to be coming. They're going to be coming over the sides, right?
Yeah.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Back to our drawing board.
Wait, why am I still in the field? That's not fair.
Hey, do a hard reload on your page. Jesse.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to keep deploying people to. It says restored 2, so down 8. I got no servers down, but I think I'm going to go back to my healthcare, and I think I'm just going to keep doing the healthcare unless my CEO tells me differently.
You got a CEO and a CFO. They should.
Yeah,
Be.
you got.
We've only got 2 sites with servers down, so where do I deploy techs after that? I just don't do it.
You deploy them wherever workstations are still left undone because they can do workstations too. Techs can do servers and workstations.
All right, so servers are almost all back.
Matt, since I can't see, can you see? Are there any MRR, like large MRR clients that we could get? Like I'm looking
Healthcare,
for
healthcare with 250 sites.
There's a healthcare with 125 sites too. So there's
I think I
would say
deployed
those
that one too.
it doesn't show. It's national healthcare down the bottom.
Yeah, I see it down the bottom. I clicked it. All right, I have
All right,
one
yep,
more
now it's showing
admin.
fine.
One more admin.
Yep, you guys are getting the hang of it now. You're not right. It's a little panicky at first. By the way, I love how this simulates how it is. It's like chaos at the beginning. You don't know what the hell to do, and then
All right, I'm going to add the
eat under
second
you.
one to that healthcare org. I'm going to knock off one of these healthcare orgs real quick.
There you go. Hey, how long does it take a technician to how many workstations can they do a day? Or do we are we allowed
technician
to
can
know
do.
that?
Yeah, sure. You can ask the question, what you just did, so I can answer. So your technicians can do 4 workstations a day, and your admins can do 2 workstations.
Okay, so
The admins can only do 2? Huh.
Yes.
All right.
Well, they're admins, aren't they? Doing the tech stuff day in and day out.
yeah.
Yeah, I suppose.
You're very
Damn that logic.
they can go ask the customer if they're satisfied really well.
This is usually in the point of the exercise when Matt's in here with us, and I go, Matt, please explain your logic to the players because they hate it.
Yeah, funny.
But he has logic behind it. There's a reason, right? And Josh has alluded to it. They're not as capable. So
Oh, hey, I can see again. Hooray.
there you go.
Right.
All right. I'm back.
All right. So now we just wait the 20 seconds now that all the resources have been deployed.
As CFO, what can I be deployed to do? I'm absolutely
not a lot.
useless technically. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Well, yeah, I mean, unless you've ever seen a CFO could bring a server up by themselves. Yeah.
No. I'm just curious. I'm curious if there's a side that's non-technical to the game, right? So
No. Oh well, I can.
Right here.
I'll tell you later. I'm going to read this off. All right. So, master service agreement tells the customer about our terms, conditions, and limits of our liability. A service level agreement tells the audience what levels of service we are committing to perform and at what defined time interval.
Yeah.
Do we have an SLA? And we have published SLAs. So are our SLAs internal or external? And what's the difference between the discuss that. And does our MSA obligate us to certain SLA included responsive resolve times, and how does that impact a scenario like this?
Yeah.
Can you define resolution times? How can defined resolution times get you into a bind, right?
I mean, I'm of the opinion that it's always SLOs, their service level objectives, and there needs to be specific language saying that in event of catastrophes such as ransomware, incidents, acts of God, these do not apply, right?
Major hot take right there.
Yeah.
Golden. That's a big point for people to understand. So
So yeah, if you don't have that and you're listing out like firm SLAs without specific, like, now you can have SLAs and have them really specific, like we'll respond, but what constitutes a response and having that all stepped out, then maybe. But how much value are you really getting out of having that? I mean, with a client, you're saying our service level objective is that we get to you in this. And is the client going to say, well, I want it to be this? I mean, maybe, but I haven't experienced that. So I think SLOs and disclaimers on specific circumstances like security incidents is a very good way to upgrade your MSA and protect yourself against this kind of stuff.
Yeah, you know, I connected an MSP up with Eric Tills, right? Because they said, hey, we played the game with him. Now we're a little concerned that we don't have what we need. And I says, well, you need to talk to someone who's actually in that business, right?
Right.
So I connected them up with Eric, and now they're working on, because they said, oh no, we have a letter of agreement, and I said, I know what that means. You're in a bind. So let's get you with somebody who can help you with that.
Right.
So have somebody who's a specialist in that help you with these things. Somebody had a point?
Expectation or objective. I mean, at that point, you're kind of splitting hairs on the word objective versus expectation. But
I was reading the Tech Tribe one, I don't know, in the last couple of weeks. It's SLA, not SLO, which is smart, Jesse. But the maximum liability is like a month of revenue or something like that.
There you go. That could be a way to do it. Yeah.
Because those are limitations that you have. If you have an attorney write them up, you're going to have those kinds of limitations of liability, which is exactly what you should be.
All right, we're back.
Oh, put me back in the field again. Come on. Did I drop myself on that one place that can't be up until that I can't leave until it's up?
Well, yeah, so that may have been an inject, Jesse, that's forced you to be in the field too. So you may not have done it to yourself.
It looks like I have most of our servers are up now, so I'm going to move on to workstations, and I think I'm just going to try to knock down this 84 workstations on that healthcare. There's 55 over there, 100. I'm just going to triple down on. Tim, what do you think? That healthcare site with 800 sites, I think we should just triple down and put everything right there and knock them out of the park. What do you think?
Are they on good standing with us?
I'm at least double.
Great point. Have they been paying us?
I don't have a CSAT score here, but I mean, dude, they got 800 sites. We must be doing a good job. 125 users.
Oh, Tim, you're such an optimistic person. I love you for that.
They might have RFP'd us to, out to 3 other MSPs. So I'm taking.
Well, I mean, you're the CFO and CEO. You've been talking to these people. Tell me. I don't know.
I'm going to call. Yeah, I'm in conversation with them. It doesn't sound like we're going to be able to continue doing business with them. So.
Well, then the hell with them. I'm not going to deploy anybody.
Yeah, put the resources elsewhere. I'll throw it
about the one that's.
I'm pulling the people up.
That was great.
What about the one that has 50 sites? You want to double down on the one that has 50 sites with 80 users?
I'd rather get nagged by one big CEO than 40 little ones.
So what would you rather? What would you rather have me do? Kind of bring up the state government site or the healthcare with 40? What do you want to do?
Yeah.
50 seconds.
All right, I'm just going to deploy them all over here and be done because I think I want to just knock this sucker right out of the park because all my guys are all going to knock that healthcare. Because remember, in the beginning of this, there's healthcare data that was leaked or potentially leaked or that was potentially compromised or that was subjectively. So I'm just going to knock that one out because I made the command decision because you were too wishy-washy on MRR.
I can tell you that it's around this time when people say, well, how do you actually win the game? And I go, there's no winning this. It's just, can you suck the least amount that you can, right? I mean, because it's never
When
going
do
to
I
be
get
good.
to deploy the CFO to something? You know what? I just want to
I'm
deploy the
itching.
CFO to that 800 person's healthcare to win them back. Dude, we got you up in less than 7 days. How do you like that? No other MSP could have done that because I sent the CFO over there.
Nice job, Mr. Schnurr. You got him on the field. It's awesome. Our techs are still busy constantly, and are communicating with customers based on has been spotty, right? I mean, because you can't touch everybody. So you've dealt with a situation where most of your techs are swamped and you can't respond to inquiries. How would you notify your clients that you are not going to meet their expectations? And then what's one best practice for handling a situation where your team can't respond to inquiries in a timely manner?
Oh, that's all Jesse. Go ahead, Jesse and Matt. Now's your time to shine.
Well, so I think I've said this before, but you know, what we came to the conclusion that worked well is having retainers with incident response firms or forensic firms outside of the panel, right? And maybe talking with the insurance panel in the beginning and saying, hey, we plan to utilize this other resource. Can they bill you directly? Working that out. That's something you should work out. But then what you can do then is you can create your techs who are the most integrated with the customer as force multipliers. So think about this. Put a single tech at a site with outsourced resources that he or she can run that crew. And then you're getting that site up quicker with adding in resources, but still having that person who knows the customer and has the point of contact with the customer coordinate those activities. So that's one best practice or a way that you can prepare for this is to have that retainer on file and make sure that you contact insurance and that they can be a part of the panel, even if they're not approved by default. By default.
So at our MSP, we always had at least one, if not two other sort of block hours sitting there with some other company that we could pull in as a resource, right? So, you know, we had our team, we did our stuff, but we had, you know, a mega MSP that had resources all over the country that we had block hours. And then when this incident or when this thing started to happen, I could get them on the phone and be like, all right, let's jump in and help us. And then negotiate going forward.
There you go.
Yep.
And around the situation where your team can't respond, I like kind of openness at that stage, right? Like opening up I think someone like the CFO might sit on a meeting in like an open Zoom meeting, and if they, you know, there's going to take inquiries, but someone's got to be the face of what's going on that isn't going to go do the day-to-day work, and you're going to sit on an open meeting or have an open bookable link that people can come and talk to you. You can hear them, get some notes, and then get back to them. You know, as you're going through this, and then just kind of keep everyone in the loop.
Yeah, I can tell you your incident coaches, right, are really, they don't like live discussions as much as possible, right? So they're going to want to help craft messages for you. So there's another way too. You can just create a site that they can go and you can post the approved message. The approved message on that site, right? And just give everybody that site URL. You can also set up an IVR for your voice phones and say, okay, you know, we're having an incident. Here's what's going on. Here's where we're at in the stage. And it's only recorded once. And, you know, that way you don't have people communicating different information.
Yeah. And I like that, Bob, because that's the other thing too, is you're saying like, hey, you've been assigned an incident coordinator from our team. Please contact that person directly or that mode of communication directly, right? So you don't have the rank and file from organizations calling up angry to like berate your tax or in dealing with all of that extraneous stuff, right? Which does happen. So
Tim, down the very bottom is national healthcare, right? Since our CFO is on his little live stream, I think we deploy everything to national healthcare. They still have 184 things down.
Tim? Yeah, Mr. Schnurr, I want to point out that since we are part of a peer group, you see these 5 rooks that showed up, and Inject fired and gave you 5 more techs.
Look at that.
Peer group. Okay, so you can assign these rooks. So when you run out of pawns, at the symbol of the rook, you can start doing the plus sign next to those when you want to assign them. And they have the same capabilities as your tech.
Nice. Let's get national healthcare. They have 184 servers down.
Hey guys, There's put 2 techs at Innovative Financial. Put 2 techs at Innovative Financial. They'll be up if you do that.
Think you want me to give him an admin?
No.
No.
The pawns. The pawns. Oh, it's too late. The pawns went somewhere else.
Or you can use
sign them all
you
out.
can use the knights.
Oh yeah,
The
use
knights.
2 knights. 2
I
knights.
added a knight. I don't know how I could, but I added a knight.
2 of them.
2 of
Sure,
them.
you
Oh,
should.
my mouse is stuck.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
You can keep
I
this.
added 2 I added 2 horsey looking things to Innovative
Okay.
Financial.
So you got 3 more. Put them somewhere. You have 57 seconds.
I'm gonna add them down here. Back to my healthcare guy. Done.
CFO,
Got one more.
if you have an issue with insubordination, just you can file a complaint with HR.
Oh man.
So
All right.
you were talking about having those block resources, and so the thing that we changed in our IR plan as well after we went through the SolarWinds event. We didn't get hit, but we had to go through the whole process right live. So what I determined during that situation is that I line up external resources to actually handle the main remediation process, and I save. This is how I'm doing it from now on. We're saving my personnel to the end, so that once we get everybody remediated, my team is not burnt out, because we got to start building trust with the customer base again. And that controls some of the wellness issues that you can run into when you strain them for this.
Yeah, that was an interesting wrinkle by whoever put that comment up. I thought is making sure that. Yeah.
Our techs have been under extreme stress for 8 days now. What are the signs? What are the signs to look out for and identify as it relates to burnout? How do you manage technician load while you're in these processes, and how do you help the mental health in high stress situations? And then what's one best practice for the care of your technicians in high stress situations? Why should you consider bringing third-party hands in, which I just talked about? Oh, by the way, bringing those third-party hands in, your cyber insurance in most cases will cover that as part of the coverage. You'll be able to make a claim on it. You will not be able to get reimbursed on your internal resources. So another important thing to keep in mind.
So Josh, you're our HR person. Like, I'm under some stress here, dude. I want to go downstairs. I want to watch Game of Thrones. I just want to be done clicking buttons, okay? Because, I need pizza.
Well, again, unfortunately, we don't have a policy on technician wellness, and we do have enforced overtime. So I'm going to have to ask you to get back to work and clock in.
Yeah, I mean,
please bring me some of that fancy coffee you were talking about this morning on the other live stream.
Yeah, I can do that. I'll get you some coffee. Yeah, I can get you some coffee.
I mean, my drink is empty here. Like, I'm like.
We'll make sure you're hydrated and fed, but you know have to eat while you're working.
I think signs of burnout. It's like people going quiet, or people lashing out. Like if somebody is like pretty measured usually, and they're starting to lose it, that's a good sign of burnout. So you talk about like patterns and long tail analysis and security. So if someone is not acting according to their baseline or wildly outside their baseline, those are all good signs, right?
This is actually normal for Mr. Golden, though, so it's okay.
That's right.
My emotional support dog.
Oh man. I mean, how do you manage technician load? You just have to tell people the work's going to be here, and we're going to have to start working in shifts, right? So you go home, and that's hard to do because I'm the type of person that I'm like, no, I can handle it, and then I can handle it until I can't, type of thing.
You're not alone though. You're not alone, Jason. That happens with everybody. You have to forcibly take people off the plane.
Right, exactly. So you got to do that, and it's not like as a leader, you have to say, okay, no, you're done. Go home.
Yep.
100%.
You're my leader.
Just for the people at home, I'm not actually that mean. Like,
I don't ever want to work for Josh.
He's playing the role as we're supposed to do.
Exactly.
Yes. No, we don't want to work there.
All right. I got more things to deploy now. Here we go. I'll pull it up here.
Oh, thanks, Josh. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, there we go.
Done. All right, let's move on to the next one.
Due to your overtime policies, 2 techs have quit. So you lost 2.
And I'm back in the field now.
2 techs quit. Oh no.
Yeah.
See, Josh, you should have enforced overtime. You gotta think about that.
I did
Wait,
enforce
wait,
overtime.
he did
I
it.
Cracked,
He did
I
it.
cracked the whip and I cracked
Wait,
it
why
too
did we
hard.
assign it? Why do we assign somebody to a place that has things up? Take them away from that.
I
innovative
did not
financial-
do that. That wasn't me. I didn't do that. They're
What are
up.
you
So,
doing?
at this point, I think we just start at the top and roll our way down.
Premier Energy, you could put 2 texts there and have them be up.
Where's Premier Energy? How about if I add what do you call it? What if let's
You can
see.
put-
Oh, this one only has 1 down. I'm putting somebody there, Tim.
I would say
That'll
start.
be
Yeah,
fine.
they've got to have at least one restored workstation in day 9, or you're probably in trouble.
That's actually a pretty big point you just made there, Tim. So what's Mr. Schnurr? The logic is, what path would you take? Would you try to restore a finite number because based on the numbers or how long you've known them, or do you want to at least touch everybody some? It's a good point. It's a good discussion point.
I think you want to at least touch everybody.
Well,
Depending
you got
on-
all the rooks. Put them out there. You got a minute to do that.
Yeah, no, I'm getting on it. Get
Yeah, I
on
think you have to show some motion no matter what. But
Right.
there's things where, hey, you can go kick off.
Right.
You can get
I assigned all my people.
you can get geographically smart and go have a roaming group go kick off a bunch of restores at one place, move over to another place, kick off restores there, and like leave one person behind just to watch it, and then you have the rotating group going around. So that's one way to handle that, but you do need more personnel for that. So
Everybody's been deployed.
Yeah, there was a good comment. Steven made a good comment. He was talking about, have someone identify and track these employees' well-being. In other words, have someone dedicated to keeping their eye on the people,
that's good.
and then make sure they're taken care of from give them budget, give them guidance, and let them handle it so that they can keep them fed. And
Yeah,
Yeah,
I want it.
Josh and I have been working on that. Yeah,
Yeah,
Josh and I have been working on that the whole time. But like, I'm like
Oh,
85
crap.
pizzas in.
I mean, yeah,
Clicked on the in the field thing. Damn it!
the CEO
well,
said it was too expensive to have the quality and technician wellness and the procedures and the incident response. So,
That's right. Get back
bastard.
to work.
Yeah, so
Always turns out good.
I
All
think
right.
we got to have
Oh,
at
here we
least
go.
one workstation. There
Yeah,
we go.
per-
I just
per
deployed
location.
myself. Darn it!
Yeah, no. Okay, so let me tell you what you did. You did that right at the end of the allocation period, which means you're not going to be able to allocate until about the same moment in time that you put yourself in the field. Doing it at the very end is the absolute worst thing you can do.
Well, I wasn't like my mouse is a little sticky. My mouse, like I need batteries for my mouse.
Yeah.
Anyways, continue.
What-
All right, discuss amongst yourselves.
Yeah. What are key things to consider in an MSA or a statement of work? How can your MSA protect both you and your customer? And then how can it harm you? So what are some of the key elements that need to be in a managed services?
Limitation
We
of
talked about
liability.
some.
Yeah.
Right.
What we are not responsible for,
Right.
specifically and explicitly scoping what we are only responsible for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No guarantee, no warranty has to be really strong, especially if you're offering security services, because you have to be, and that has to then waterfall into the statements of work too. Is that none of this is a guarantee that you won't experience a breach. And
That's that.
You said the B word.
Yeah, I was going to say an incident.
an incident. There you go.
Best efforts. That's the good bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
there's a very long list of things I'd say you can and can't put in like, consult a lawyer about these things. I think this is great to have on the tool though, Bob, when you're sitting and discussing as a team, because this will definitely enlighten a lot of providers around what they aren't doing, even just internal discussions. Most of the teams know this stuff, but getting it up into the discussion with leadership is so valuable. I love this.
Yeah, that's and honestly, that's what this was about, right? Is to broach these subjects, because when we have C-level people playing this exercise, they learn really quickly that it's nothing like they ever envisioned, right? So it's at that moment when they actually their minds start opening up, when they start realizing, well, if I get in a situation I can't fix everybody, they never even contemplated that, right? And so that means, okay, well, how are we protecting the organization? And that comes back to your documentation stack, right? So I dropped a little URL in for a cyber constitution document that Eric Tilds, who's an MSP attorney, he and I drafted so that you can use it for free, but it allows you to, for those customers that do not have, the right amount of security maturity, you can use this as part of your documentation stack to help get that conversation in the right frame, right?
Yeah.
To make them commit to things. So you should take a look at that.
Oh, I cannot participate because I'm stuck off the field.
Yep, that's right. Mr. Schnur is up. Oh, a restore a dynamic wellness with HIPAA data involved, a backup from her tech's house. That tech had to be fired. So in other words,
he had data at his house.
Well, this is the way that happened. They went and were working at that location, trying to help restore those things. So he had the image, he had the golden image with him, right? And the golden image contained some of that. Instead of leaving it on site at the location, he was worn out and stressed out because of your enforced overtime policy, and he just threw all of his equipment in the back of his vehicle. And it turns out that went with him.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, bummer.
Had to be the bad guy again.
Premier Energy only has 6 left to get back up.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of in the field, so I can't participate. So
does that mean then, Bob, that we can't assign the knights, or can Tim assign?
Tim can assign pawns and knights. It's the castles, the rooks.
Oh, the rooks cannot be assigned. Oh, wow, that's a bummer.
Yeah,
I know. I have 5 of them too that I keep.
I've been continually in the field as well, so I don't know what inject happened that I missed, but I literally cannot see anything on my end.
Yeah, there are times when a customer's like really mad and the CEO has to go.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that one. Yeah, you're stuck.
He's at that 800 person healthcare company that what do you call it? Wanted us to like drop. All right, who am I doing? Dynamic shipping, integrated. Yes, we got the bank back up.
There you go. Get after it. Don't leave anybody on the playing field.
I know. I just got to figure out who at this point.
Or don't leave them on the bench. Put them in the playing field.
Those knights got to go out too. Whoever has control over the knights.
Mr. Schnur can put those out, as well as apparently Tim.
Okay.
Mr. Gold again too. Just make sure they're all in the field.
Yeah.
Don't leave anything on the bench.
I mean,
Which sounds crazy to say, but when you're actually in the stress of the battle, it's really easy to send someone somewhere that they don't need them, and it's really easy to not give somebody instructions. So
right.
You have to focus.
I know I'm just in HR, but I find it odd that we prioritized a block of time customer over our current managed contract customers.
Where's the block time?
Integrated banking.
Where?
I mean, I'm not in charge of the financials. I'm just in HR. I'm just
No,
it seems odd.
He raised his hand. He raised his hand with a consideration.
They just got the bare minimum.
Discuss amongst yourselves when the work involved in an incident exceeds your resources. You have to get innovative and be prepared. So, who has assisted another MSP? Who has seen? What are the benefits of peer groups, and who's heard of mutual assistance agreements?
Mutual assistance, I've heard of.
I'll throw this one thing out there. MSP 911, right? It's in the middle of being reorganized, but that would be an institution that you could get involved with from a mutual assistance.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else ever deal with peer groups?
I mean, I've been in peer groups, but not from an incident perspective. So, but I know that putting those beacons out has yielded positive results for other MSPs. So, I have mutual assistance agreement. I've heard of those. I haven't heard of those in terms of an incident. Do you know of any specifically, Bob?
I know that that's more of a current thing, and that sort of happened after Robert and Eric had their incident.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So it's become an actual more of a thing now. So that's like I said, the MSP 911. Basically, when you sign up with that group to help support, the membership, that basically is a mutual assistance agreement.
Right.
I mean, because you have to have NDAs and all kinds of things involved to, because of we're competing, but we're not competing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In our ecosystem, everybody's willing to help, but you got to have all those agreements to protect everybody.
Yeah.
But that's technically part of a mutual assistance agreement in and of itself.
That sounds
kinda
like
like-
better cyber insurance. I'd rather be part of that collective, right?
Well, it's not a bad point,
Yeah.
Mr. Schnurr, that if all the MSPs we get together as a block, they might be able
Yeah.
to have some bargaining power, which is your point, right? It's not a bad thought.
But
Happened in
I mean,
other
at the
industries.
at the same time, I think in this scenario, you can't be picky, right? You're just like, hey, this is a do or die situation. I mean, if this isn't handled, this could potentially spell the end of your business. So I
Right.
feel that you'll take whatever the hell help you can get, and then we'll figure out
Yeah.
the details later.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, that is what happened in Robert and Eric's case, right? Because they had people just showing up to help them out, and it's all well and good to say, oh, well, no, we wouldn't accept that. We couldn't do that. It's a whole different when the flames are licking the ceiling in your house.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah,
All right,
that's a good benefit. We got in this scenario, we got the benefit of a peer group. We actually got additional resources. So we got the benefit of that
Yeah.
in this particular configuration.
Yeah. I
All
think.
right,
Oh, go ahead.
10 seconds. No, she said 9 seconds.
I was just gonna say, I think you're right, Bob, in that all bets are off when you realize that you can't handle it on your own, and if you don't have the right systems in place.
Oh,
Yep.
Oh, man.
now we got like exit. Why do we
Yeah,
have
you're
like
still there.
Ooh, look at that roll.
What are the
They're
so
back offline. What?
They're the peer group.
a membership of a peer group? So
Oh, yeah.
Bob.
Yes.
So innovative financial
Yes.
now why is those like all down again? Because we brought
Yeah.
them back.
Yeah, we missed an inject somewhere because there's an inject that says, oh, by the way, there was still a persistence in the innovation financial network, and therefore it got reinfected, which is why your CEO got dragged over there, and one of your techs was hardwired to that spot as well.
Oh, man.
And that happens, right? Because
Yeah.
they got like a Windows 7 box in the closet that talks to, Blue Shield or something, right? Or an X25 box or whatever the hell it is, right?
Yeah.
So, Tim, you need to deal with innovative because they have servers down at this point.
Well, there's a tech already on site because it had to. But if you got what you got there, you don't have to worry about that one at the moment.
Yeah, what happened with that?
Premier Energy put a tech there, put a rook there, because that one rook would get them back up.
Premier Energy.
Is the Rook? You mean Premier Medical?
No, Premier Energy, oil and gas.
No, he's looking at Premier Energy on this line right here that has 2 workstations down. That's all one
Nope.
thing.
We missed another inject, but I just got the letter in the mail or email, whatever. We got fired by Dynamic Wellness.
Okay.
So we
Took too
lost
long.
our MRR on that.
You can see that.
Oh, that was that 800 one that I
Yeah.
saw.
Yeah.
I
right
told
there.
you guys. I mean, no, you're
Fired.
I mean,
Yep.
Yeah.
So all the work you put into that one went out the window.
We didn't put much into it.
There
you're
you go.
welcome.
Oh.
Called it straight.
We're tanking this one.
There's no winning, right? Like I think Bob said it. You don't
Yeah.
win it. It's very hard to come out of this with a win.
No, you can you'll get a score, but it's not a win. You're right.
I mean, with how large of that client it was, CFO, do we need to start worrying about cash flow and employee layoffs here, or are we sitting good on that?
Yeah, because when these people are down,
we should take that offline, Josh.
I just went into the field.
Hey, I'm ready to crack more whips here. So HR can't do much in this game.
25 seconds. I'm only going
I
to 25
deployed all my
seconds to deploy everybody next time.
I have one.
remember when you deploy yourself, right? You're going to blank your screen. So just be aware. All right. If you use third-party resources on incidents, having a solid processes and procedures to train them is really critical, right? So if you got, let's just say peer people showed up. If you didn't have your procedures documented, that's not necessarily a benefit, right? Because now you got to stop and train them up. So how do you ensure that your procedures are documented well. What are ways to make sure documentation procedure is correct, that your documented procedure is correct? And then how do you implement training on processes and procedures? How do you develop a culture of documentation? And what are some best practices to ensure that we have a repeatable process?
Boy, I feel like Tim Golden has some thoughts on this.
Yeah.
Probably.
No, I know nothing. I know nothing. No. Let's do this over here. So, you hear us talking about this all the time on Team 10, which is, damn it, start someplace, do it now, right? We do have some really great MSPs, some that might even be on this call today, that actually have dedicated some time. My recommendation would always be block off 1 hour once a week and start there. Start writing, start bringing in, turn off all the devices. As long as that 1 hour isn't from 2 to 3 on Friday when Team Tim is, block off 1 hour once a week and start doing stuff.
The only other advice I would give is
have a process. I'm just going to leave that up there while we talk amongst ourselves.
I would say one thing that one advice I can give is anytime you can memorialize those processes or procedures in your automated systems, you're going to be always better off, right? Because if you do that, they're going to be much more consistent. And the other thing you get is the benefit of, if that procedure needs to change, you're going to find out right away, because what you've documented, like we use ConnectWise and we use configurations, which are more or less, we call them playbooks, right? You have to do steps in an order, and you have to indicate that you've done those steps in an order. And those are how we memorialize our procedures for those particular things, so that if it needs to be changed, it's because it won't work anymore. And we know that because we tried to use a procedure and it broke, then we know to fix it right then, so that we won't get that the next time. So anytime you can leverage your systems and automation, you're going to have a much more consistent, result. So I would say think in terms of that as much as possible.
And I would also throw in there, like, make sure you have buy-in from your CEO and CFO, because, there are people like us that love writing documentation as the support lead, but we don't get that from our CEO and CFO because they just want us to crunch numbers and click buttons. But make sure you have that buy-in at the top, that you're given the accountability, that you're given the authority, and you're given the time to do the work. Like, just go do the work and get the buy-in from the top down.
I will tell you, as the COO, when I started, I wrote the procedures and the processes, and then I taught them how to write the procedures and the processes, and then I gradually let them take over the business of writing procedures. So you have to lead this top down. This is not something you can just put a stamp on.
I was going to say that's something that is to mention, is that there needs to be a methodology that everyone has agreed on for how we do process, because in an incident like this, you may not have all your processes or automated processes available to you, and you may have to create some things on the fly. But if everyone has an agreed upon methodology, it's going to look very similar, and you're going to be able to piece that together more quickly than you would if you just kind of everyone's doing their own thing, right?
That was my first document, Jesse, was how to write a policy and a procedure. And then here are the templates.
That's right.
That should be your first one. That should be the first one.
So that's actually the first one that we have. Well, I will plug our platform. That is literally your first document on documentation. It is literally the first one we suggest everybody roll out. I need to start deploying my things here.
I notice you're a little like an alligator, Mr. Golden. As if you're talking, you can't see anything else. Stop. You doing weird. Alligators are the same way.
Oh man.
Get your hand under the mouth, right?
I'm deploying my.
This is extremely bogus that I can't see anything.
Yeah.
Jesse, I locked myself out until 25 seconds left. I got to deploy.
I'm the only one that can deploy.
I'm like, It's great. You guys got it? All right, I'm gonna go get a soda.
Wait, can I even deploy? I can't deploy.
Your people are deployed. The ones Mr.
I know.
You can't deploy his. No.
I can't deploy text. I'm sitting here clicking on the text.
I got to deploy in 23 seconds, I think.
Yeah, so he's going to have about 20 seconds because he put himself out in the
Do
field.
them all in
in
the first one and be done.
Yeah, think you have about, let's see here, you have 32 workstations worth of people. So find something that has 32 or less and hit it.
Refresh your page. If you can't see him, you should be able to go now.
I'm at 20 seconds. Oh, there it goes.
Meanwhile, Jesse's still at Innovative Financial being yelled at here.
Put them all at future resources.
What's the CEO burnout policy?
Golf tournament. Go do a golf tournament.
All
right. So
I want to pause here real quick. I know we're 20 minutes over our normal time. I want to make sure that I'm still good. Everybody else is still good. We can keep moving forward. What is this still going to take us another 45 minutes? Like, I want to do a time check.
No, we should be. This is day 12. I can't. I don't want to reveal everything, but we've got about 3 more days, and that's it.
Yeah, I think I'm good to go. I blocked extra time today. So
okay, just checking in.
Thanks for checking in with your employee wellness, Tim. I appreciate that. That's
violating policy again.
So in the process of prosecuting an incident, you find that there are 2 businesses using the same infrastructure. What should you consider? Now, how does that happen? Why is distinct infrastructure important? And I'll give you the backstory in a second. How do you support a company that is trying to spin up multiple startup businesses on the same infrastructure? And then what are the risks that an MSP takes when it allows behavior like mixing different technical entities, different legal entities on the same infrastructure? And this stems from something in Matt's experience where they had a startup that was cranking up inside of a company that the MSP was actually doing business with. But they were 2 different legal entities. And if you have an incident like this, what does that do to you?
I see this a lot, especially in the defense industrial base, unfortunately, where there are, could be, this side of the business makes the widget and this side of the business installs the widget, right? I've seen this happen with other MSPs and having multiple business units or multiple separate entities all running on the same infrastructure. I've seen it happen multiple times.
Yeah. I think it's less of an issue than it used to be because now you can just use create a coffee shop internet type of setup and have everyone use software-defined networking and SASE clients, right? And then everyone is defined in the cloud. Now, if you don't have that and they are using the same infrastructure, you have to consider who's responsible for what and who's liable for what in the event of an incident. Right. Are you liable? Is the parent liable? Is that spelled out? You have to protect yourself from those things. So,
if you as Delta found out, legacy stuff is most of the issue you run into here. If you're in the new world, things are a lot better.
Yeah. The bottom line is if you got 2 different legal entities and you've got an agreement with one but not the other, it puts you at risk, right? Because they could be the ones that actually brought something in to the overall network. Because especially if you're an MSP in this situation, you have to be careful about who is hanging off the edges of your collective network, right?
Yeah, you're providing services to a company that you have 0 MSA with, right? And they're like, "Oh, we thought you had it, and we thought you had it." No, we didn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, we got an inject as your customers are starting to come back online. You lose. We lost the tech to do tech support for customers that are coming back online because we're actually getting some of them back on.
Where is that? I don't see that. Why do I not see that?
It disappeared. It flashed.
They're short. Yeah, they're short.
Fired.
Yeah,
Integrated bank.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Looks like Integrated Bank is who we're supporting right now because they're the only one that is up all the way.
We just lost some more MRR guys. We had another client fire us. So
right here, Premier Energy, and Dynamic Wellness. Those are the 2 that are.
I just deployed people there to get them back up. They only had 12 things.
12 days. You were on day 12. So they didn't like it.
But
they kicked your ass to the curb.
I gave them freaking everything yesterday. All right, that's it. I'm gonna dump everything on the freaking healthcare company because I'm gonna go back to my
Tim. They were an energy company, and unfortunately, since they were down, they weren't able to provide energy to their clients, and their clients were calling them, so they had to take action to keep their clients happy.
Yep.
Damn it. All right, so gas and oil. I don't care about trucking. They can be block time trucking.
If you've never heard, if you've never sat through this with Matt narrating it, there are times like right around now when he gets really emotional because he remembers how bad it was, right? He remembers how bad it was when he was dealing with this very situation, right? There were people telling him they hated him, and that was he's just like Robert and Eric, right? You can see them getting emotional when they start, no matter how many times they tell this story, right?
Yeah, I got reminded of that recently, actually, when someone said, like, just remember the emotions behind these kinds of events. Any incident, really. I mean, something of this size, I don't think you can even try to figure out the emotions on. People will just become numb. But it's these are incredibly emotional times for technical people. It's really difficult to, even if you think you're gonna not go sleep, like, are you sleeping, kind of thing, Even if it's really not a. Yeah, there you go, Tim.
I have my emotional support dog. That's why I keep them here. And it also makes something really soft when I need to throw it. All right, I deployed all my things.
Yeah, you're good.
I'm good.
You're okay.
Yeah.
Yep,
so when do we get to deploy the CFO or the tech lead or the CFO?
Yeah, I feel very useless.
Well, you know what? But someone's got to stay back at the ranch, right? I mean, the point is that you can't have everybody out of the office when all hell's breaking loose, right? So someone's got to be there. When you service medical clients, there are a couple additional considerations that might come into effect, right? Like, why are business associate agreements, BAAs, critical to have? Must you have a BAA agreement with every client who's covered by HIPAA? And who is ultimately responsible for the BAA agreement being in place? And what are your options if you know of a potential PHI loss? Let's talk about the BAA first.
Sure.
Who has to be, who's the one that needs that or is responsible for getting a BAA documented?
The covered entity.
Yeah, that's
covered
it. It was just a little time lag for Mr. Golden, but but that's it, right? If you got a medical client that is HIPAA, has to be HIPAA compliant, it's their responsibility to get a BAA in place. Now, the thing you need to understand as a MSP though, is that you need to standardize. And I'm telling you, this is best practice. Standardize in your MSA, have that language already in there that says, look, if your company is required to have BAA agreements, you need to submit the request for that BAA agreement this way. Be very specific about how they have to submit that request to you so that you got an audit trail that when they ask that you fulfilled that and you did that in a timely manner. If you don't do that, then when it all goes down bad, they'll go, well, wait a minute, I sent you an email, 4 months ago for that BAA agreement. And turns out they sent it to somebody who was out of the company or whatever, left the company or on vacation or whatever. So be very, I'm just saying, when these things, they're very important when they're required, and you really need to formalize the procedure for them to submit the request to get a BAA signed off on. So
there just so happens to be a whole blog article on
that. Yep. And then PHI loss. What are your obligations? This is if personal health information was lost by one of your customers. What's your obligation at this point?
I think, ethically, you need to tell them that they should report. And I think that's probably a good CYA measure, is saying, hey, you most likely have to report. This looks like a PHI loss, but I think it's on the customer to actually submit the report, right?
Yeah. Yep. So
I just put in there a link to 45 CFR Part 46. So the link to the Institution of Health that talks about, and from HHS, like there's a link over there in the chat. So,
are they critical? Because it's like a shared responsibilities matrix, right? Who's going to do what with and who's responsible for what and protecting the health and health information.
Yay, we got Innovative back up and running.
The national healthcare is furious and demands your CEO appear on
Come
site.
on, man!
But unfortunately,
Yes,
he's still being yelled at by Innovative Financial. So
Oh my gosh, we're gonna lose all our healthcare clients.
There's a queue. There's a queue waiting to get at you.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh my
guys,
goodness.
if national healthcare, our biggest client, has fired us. I mean, we've lost some pretty hefty MRR here. I mean, how's the financial? How's the bank looking?
Yeah, I was trying to add up all the columns. The formatting didn't allow me to kind of see what our.
Hey, I just I don't know who to escalate this to, but I just tried ordering pizza for our remaining techs, and the credit card was declined.
Yeah. Well, look, the point about this is while all this is going on, you're having to bill, right? Cash flow becomes a problem in this circumstance. If you haven't thought that through and have an alternative method to kind of keep yourself up and
Day
running,
14 might be end of month, or day 8 might be end of month. So
right.
Do you have another line of credit we can use, because our techs are getting really hungry here?
I think by the end of this scenario, all we're going to have left is block time people.
Yeah, back to the MSA, Bob, that's another thing.
Yep.
To talk about is that they can't withhold payment in this scenario, right?
That's correct. Yeah,
So,
I mean, you do. The language should be in there to protect you for that. Even though you're dealing with them, they should still have to pay their bills. That's correct.
Can we do an exchange of services with a local restaurant? We'll do their IT for some sandwiches.
We'll infect them with ransomware from our RMM for some sandwiches. Oh my goodness. This is not going well.
We'll put them in. We'll put them in line to get service in another month.
Yeah.
Before we lose another healthcare client, I'm just deploying everybody there, because our website talks all about how we support these healthcare organizations, and they keep dropping like flies.
I would just like to point out that if we had done the Dave Ramsey method, we would have about half of our clients up right now.
Oh yeah, that's the CFO who's not in the field punching buttons like the rest of us.
That's the CEO. But yeah,
whatever.
I don't know what else to call it except for the Dave Ramsey method.
I'm out of my drink. My dog is hungry. Like, you're not
Josh, could you talk to Tim here? Looks like he seems to be acting a little on the extreme side. I think he needs a little chat.
Tim, we need to have a one-on-one about conflict resolution.
All right. What are some of the key things to do in an incident response investigation? Why is root cause analysis so important? What are the key actions to take to prevent reinfection? And what are ways to train your employees in incident response?
Yeah. Well, chain of custody is a big one.
There you go. Huge.
Right. Yeah.
Talk a little bit more about that, Jesse, because not everybody knows what that is.
Okay. So
wait. Chain of custody.
Yeah, so chain of custody is important. That basically says in a court of law, you're able to prove that the forensics that you obtained and made their way through are untouched or either immutable, or there hasn't been a chance for those results to be altered. And it's more of like it started as a criminal statute, I think. And like how, cops have to put things in like an evidence bag and it has to be checked in at the locker. So that way they can prove that the evidence wasn't tainted when it gets through to the court of law. And it's a similar concept for forensic investigations, so that when you go to prove root cause or there is some sort of culpability for it, you're able to either prove or disprove that, that wasn't you. So that's important to maintain chain of custody in an incident.
Critical.
And there's things you can do. It's simple form stuff, and there's evidence bags in a similar process. So like you're imaging a drive, putting it in the evidence bag, sealing it up, filling out the chain of custody, and when it goes to the next person, there's a log of all that. So that's one way you can do that. Another way that we did was having an automatic triage script that pulled down the memory forensics and pulled down a bunch of different other things and uploaded that direct to an S3 immutable storage bucket. So that literally can't be changed, right? And so that's a way that you can have that for machines and other things as well. So
No, what
Yeah,
about
very good.
the root cause analysis? So we can just pay the ransom and it goes away, right? Like that's all we need to do. We're back up and running. We got the decryptor key.
Well, because it could happen again. We've just proven in this particular exercise that that is not sufficient. So,
Look, it's a cost of doing business, right? If I just have to pay 40 grand here and there to get my stuff back up, I'll just put that on the line item.
They write it off. You don't even know what that means.
We're just going to increase our prices by $100. It's just
yeah. Go ahead.
The only way you're going to be sure, right, to not be reinfected is you have to go to find exactly how it all happened to begin with, and you got to make sure that all of those avenues are closed. That's the reality of the situation.
Yeah. Key actions, right? That's number one, root cause. But then number one, a really good process for clearing, quarantine, and releasing back into the environment. So,
it has to be structured.
Can I just say, can we finally develop an IRP, please? Had we done this in the beginning?
Yes.
All right, because we got one little note here. Suffering from burnout, our employees are only working at half efficiency.
Come on.
Well, it's day 15, right?
Yeah.
So they're 2 weeks into this. They don't even look like the same people anymore.
Yeah.
Right? They look like Schmiegel.
Oh, I'm so tempted to do my Schmiegel voice. Do it. We'll save that for another day.
At least I got a petroleum company in our law firm back up and running.
There you go. Future resources only has 8 to go. If you scroll down,
I just deployed there.
Okay. Is there any other ones that are close? Remember, we're working at half efficiency, so you only get 2. You only get 2 per pawn and knight, and 1 per rook.
Yep, that's correct.
Brutal.
Yeah.
But I would still say try and knock out 1 or whatever.
Great.
Josh, I like that. That's got to go up. Said make sure to make a dramatic exit.
Whoa. Hey. That's the behind the scenes comm. That's our team's don't look back at the explosion as you walk away. Are you telling me?
I don't know what to do.
I've got to say the CFO role here is very
pretty lame.
Yeah, I want a button to order pizza at a minimal.
I'll put it on the list. I will.
Yeah.
Feature request.
There also needs to be like a sort and filter.
No, there doesn't, because it's not that easy.
That's right.
We're not going to make it. Life's not that easy,
that
Mr.
same
Golden.
thing. Yeah, because I was like, oh, why can't I sort and filter? Because I wanted to kind of take this and go like, okay, what's all of our revenue here, so I can help prioritize. But there was no nice way for me to do it. But I agree, with no plan, that's not going to be possible. So I like that it's a little clunky to a certain extent, right? I was like, why don't you color code this? But I get it, right? Like, it's not.
Well, that should be a new version of the game, right? So if you had the game and you had it like, we have a well-documented IRP and a well-documented whatever, then you get an extra feature like CSAT store.
Wow. That's cool. That's a good idea. Yeah.
Mr. Golden, I won't confirm or deny that might be on the list.
Right?
But there are certain things that we need to keep in there to add to the frustration level.
All right. So here we are.
Oh, man. I don't want to see this score.
15. Yeah, the score will come up next. But what did we learn today? Go ahead. What did we learn today?
Good.
I was going to say, without an incident response plan, you are in big trouble.
Yeah,
pretty much.
We made this seem like a good time amongst kind of good friends here, but this is not going to be a good time.
No.
Yeah.
No. You do not want to be having to figure this out while it's happening. You're going to want. I mean, this is the reason just about everybody on this call has made everybody understand this, or try to make them understand this over time. Is look, if you can spend an hour or 2 doing this and do it a couple times a year, and you're going to be infinitely better off than not having done it at all, right? I mean, it is a sea change that occurs when you go through these things.
I want to take to that point because I'm actually going through this internally with our organization where we're going through and doing some of this planning. And when we were having the meeting yesterday, it was, hey, we're laughing like this, we're making jokes and kind of stuff. And if you do it before, you get to do that, right? If you do this plan and you make these plans and you make these arrangements, then it becomes kind of a fun, it's still a scary exercise, but you can joke around and have that fun. But if you do it while everything's on fire, there is no joking and it'll suck a lot. So take the time to enjoy this experience where we can have smiles and laughs and make sarcastic remarks. Because there's only one time you get to do that. And it's if you plan in advance.
Yeah. Yep. So did anybody have one or two actions they're going to take away with them after going through this?
Well, go ahead, Tim.
No, go ahead.
No. I was going to say, I mean, not personally, but if I was working at the MSP that I was at previously, I would say there's some MSA changes that could be made just to strengthen our legal liability at the end of the day in this.
Yeah, I felt like our technical team needing to do all the restore here was onerous, and there needs to be a better way to think about the scale at which this needs to operate. I think there was large amount of spread here that is very hard to respond to.
Yeah. So I'm going to say what I've always been saying. I'm going to pull this up over here, and I'm going to do a shameless plug because it's our show, damn it, which is go grab the incident response plan that is sitting on my website that you can grab for free and start writing the damn thing now.
Yeah.
There's enough of those things around. That one was built alongside our good friends at Fifth Wall. So it has a little bit more meat to it than what you might grab off the interweb. But let's pull up our scores. All right.
That's so bad.
2 out of 10.
All right.
So there's a couple ways that the scores are kind of calculated on this thing. One of them is revenue, obviously. That was going to be one. But there are more than one. It's the number of clients that were retained. Because, I call this the social media variable, right? The more people you retain, the less social media exposure you're going to have by all of your customer base, right? And then there is the relationship years preserved, because our CFO will tell you that having long relationships with customers is referrals are how we get most of our business, and having long relationships with people matters, right? So all of those figure into this kind of rubric about, okay, how did you do? This one's our performance on this particular exercise was 2 out of 10.
So we failed miserably.
You know what? On the suck meter, we were closer to the worst suck, but that's how that goes. It's very hard. Look, the point is again, the thing I want people to take away from this that are playing this, you guys had no preparation really. You just were thrown into it, but the model said that we didn't have an incident response plan. So therefore, that's a lot like it looks like when you're really trying to deal with these situations, right? So what can you expect of an outcome if you don't have a plan and have practiced it in advance? I think this is an adequate representation of what that result will kind of look like. So that's that is what it is. But it is the reason that we do these. It is the reason. And by the way, we have people come back and play them over and over and over again, trying out different roles, because they learn every time they play it. They learn something new every time. So it was awesome doing it with you guys, though. I got to say, that was a blast, man.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. I appreciate it. It was excellent.
That's it. I'm done. I'm taking my dog and I'm going out.
Josh, again, can you please go talk with Mr. Colson?
He's still on tilt.
Company announcement. We've made the difficult decision to part ways with our tech lead.
I can't say, Mr. Golden, you are the only person in all of the games that we played that actually got their ass fired. Congratulations! You will forever be the first.
That's why he started his own. That's why he started his own company, because he realized he was completely unemployable.
Right. I don't need you. Damn it. Hey, I once acted when I was in high school, So I had to like bring that in here, right?
Yeah, funny.
I can believe it was once. Yeah.
Damn you.
Bazinga.
All right. I get hoisted off of the stage. Exit. Stage left.
All right. Over to you, Mr. Golden. It's yours, sir. Take it from
All right.
here.
Well, no, Bob, this was really great. Generally, we spend the last couple of seconds, usually a minute or 3, but I'm going to give us probably each 30 seconds apiece to talk about one key takeaway, and then we'll end. So, Jesse, you're in the top right-hand corner. Let's start with you on your key takeaway, and Matt will move on to you next.
Yeah. Those who plan to fail to plan. Make sure you have an incident response plan and start going through it.
Awesome. And Mr. Matt, and next will be Jesse. Josh.
Yeah, on that, do something. I think the 1 hour a week, 2 hours a week, whatever you can do to start to think this through with the people you work closely with.
Awesome. Josh.
Going on Jesse's point, don't let perfection stand in the way of progress. Even if you don't have a fully formulated plan, something is better than nothing. So start today.
Awesome. Mr. Bob.
Bring a tranquilizer gun to these things because sometimes you just need it. Yeah.
Tim.
Yeah, I think we lived Robert's worst nightmare, right? Robert Cioffi. I mean, it's a miracle he survived, and you see the slow kind of recovery, which is absolutely brutal. So
Yeah.
you just got to practice.
Yep.
And for myself,
You get hacked.
I would strongly suggest that you surround yourself with a group of peers because you don't have to do this alone, right? I don't care if you join a peer group, you find some Discord server or whatever, but you don't have to do this by yourself. And as we've all said, start someplace and start now. Hey, everybody, it's been a great week. We have a couple of good sessions coming up in the following weeks. Make sure you do the things and the likes and the subscribes. And, we will see you all here next week. So thanks, everybody.
Later, everyone.
See y'all. Thank you.
This.
Subscribe now.